What is the mission of the U.S. General Services Administration's Assisted Acquisition Services, AAS? How does it work to meet the unique needs of each federal agency it supports? And what is it doing to change the way it does business? I'll explore these questions and so much more with my very special guest, Corey Nickens, Client Executive for the Assisted Acquisition Services Innovation Business Unit within the Federal Acquisition Service at GSA. You've been through a significant reorganization, and I was hoping you could tell us a little bit more about it. You mentioned the 5 client business units, but how has it gone so far? And what's the timing of moving the FEDSIM sectors into the new 5 groups?
So, as of October 8th, we'll be a year into the realignment. And so the realignment was entitled Framing Fast for the Future, or F4. And the decision to realign GSA's FAST offices was based on 2 guiding principles. The first was to enable a scalable and consistent customer experience. And the second one was to increase employee access to opportunities, regardless of location or where they live. So with those guiding principles, we morphed AAS from 12 geographically based client support centers to 5 client-based business units, which I mentioned earlier. And so those 12 offices previously consisted of 11 regions and the FEDSIM office, which you alluded to previously. And so because of the size of our portfolio, the transition that we're taking on is a multi-year journey through the end of FY26. To date, that progress has gone really well. And so where we started is when we did that morphing of 12 units into 5. And when I talked about the client alignment and the future state earlier, we can't get there overnight. And so there's within each unit, although they're entitled Army or Air Force or civilian, there's still a percentage of work within those units from our legacy operations that needs to move to the future state client alignment. And so we're moving the needle when it comes to aligning our portfolio by client. Today, 64% of our work is already in the right place. If we look at award ceiling values, when you look at funding values, it's about 56%. So still tremendous progress from where we started. So through a phased approach to realignment, we're essentially navigating the remaining transitions with care and proper planning to minimize disruption and maximize impact for our clients, our industry partners, and our employees. So the next major transition is scheduled for October 2024. So when you mentioned, what's the timing of moving the FEDSIM sectors into the 5 groups or 4 groups, if you will. In October, we'll be transitioning what was the legacy FEDSIM Air Force sector to its in-state business unit in the Air Force, Space Force, and Navy office. This will be the first occurrence that was officially transitioning. Previously, when we stood up F4 and implemented it in October, the FEDSIM innovation sector joined forces with our Region 5 business unit to create the AAS Innovation Office. So this next move in October is kind of going to be the first official move post F4, where we're moving a legacy FEDSIM sector into another business unit. So those transitions are going to continue on a regular cadence of April and October. Our FY25 focus will be transitioning the legacy FEDSIM, Air Force, Army, and civilian sectors out of AAS Defense into the Air Force, Army, and civilian business units, respectively.
Corey, when you look at your portfolio, because that's a lot to be on the hook for, I was wondering if you could share with us, what are some of the top management challenges or other challenges that you face in this position, leading this portfolio, and how have you sought to address them?
Yes. So we have, several challenges along with opportunities ahead of us. But from a challenge perspective, by far, I would say that the biggest challenge is acquiring the talent that we need in the midst of the change and the unprecedented employee opportunities that are available today. Acquiring professionals, and particularly acquisition professionals, is difficult as they're in high demand across government. And so we have to constantly look at ways to creatively bring folks in and also make sure that we're doing what we can to retain our talent. So to address this year, we've been heavily focused on standardizing what our positions are going to be at all grade levels, from entry level all the way up to GS-15s. for innovative acquisition professionals, and aggressively putting out hiring announcements for merit promotions and attracting outside talent. So already this year, we've hired over 20 new personnel, which represents, almost 25% growth in our workforce within the business unit this year. We also address this by collecting and communicating success stories. So this is a particular area where there's just so many meaningful and impactful stories on how we're leveraging small business to deliver on government needs. And so we're working on connecting the efforts of our employees with the impact on organizational performance and our customers and countries' missions to maximize employee engagement and retention efforts. Also, through this unit, we provide employees with the diversity of project experiences and opportunities that helps to accelerate their learning and facilitate their professional development. And so this ties back to our ability as a whole within a unit to support not only, cyber, commercial solutions openings, IDIQ creation, and then, other innovative methods that we can pursue in the future. So when it comes down to hiring, I never miss a moment to tell folks we are hiring. So for the listeners out there, if you're interested or know someone that may be interested in making a difference in the acquisition community, they can always contact Join AAS at gsa.gov. A couple others that I would say we're conquering this year are integrating cultures and business processes to enable consistent service delivery. So when I talked about our transition to the 5 business units, we specifically merged our Great Lakes region and our central office based innovation sector from FEDSIM together with the goal of growing our innovation portfolio to new heights. So anytime you merge offices, they bring a plethora of successes, norms, habits, which allow us to mold a future masterpiece, if you will. And so to get there, that change takes time as teams learn each other and develop new cultures. And so we're doing a couple things to address that integration. So we call it a one AAS culture and environment where we think of things more nationally as opposed to silos. And so we started coffee chats, brown bags, listening sessions, just to name a few things to get our employees connected on a human level and to provide our leadership team with the ability to receive that feedback and take the pulse of the organization. Another area is what we call our INNOVATE service delivery model, is what I call the DNA of how we deliver our services for our customers. So whether it includes, standardizing our team structures, our roles and responsibilities, our templates that we use, the guidance that we provide to employees, all of these things not only help customers and industry partners from a consistency standpoint, but it also provides efficiencies and clarity necessary for our employees to be their best selves every day and to be confident in what they're doing. And the last one that I would mention probably is raising awareness among the buying community about the different authorities and approaches that can be taken to access innovative solutions at the speed of need specifically, and particularly how AAS can help in that process. And so this year has been all about us focusing on, the early stages of realignment, transition, and implementation to make sure we have the right infrastructure in place to deliver as we move forward. And so going into FY25 and beyond, we're going to be focused heavily on our external brand to illustrate the many ways that we partner with our customers and with industry to deliver, innovative solutions to our country's greatest challenges.
Your strategic vision for leading the innovation portfolio at AAS, perhaps you could share with us briefly or identify maybe some of your key strategic priorities and talk about them.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mentioned and alluded to our office as being a little bit of a startup. And so if you think about it from that perspective, that's also who we sort of cater to. The innovation office is all about removing contractual barriers to entry for America's innovators. And so the federal acquisition process, is at times daunting for our most experienced industry partners, let alone the smaller or the newer companies that are looking to break in or to find their niche, in this vast sea of competitors. And so our vision is to possess the comprehensive suite of tools in the toolbox, if you will, to address customer needs for innovative, emerging, and evolving technologies, focusing on, diversifying the supplier base, particularly small businesses and new market entrants. So whereas our other offices in AAS are focused on more traditional acquisition methods, leveraging widely available GSA service offerings like Alliant or Oasis contract vehicles. We specialize in lesser known and emerging authorities to get innovative solutions into the hands of customers at the speed of need. And so I referenced the Small Business Innovation and Research Authority and Tech Transfer Research. We have the ability to do both. We're predominantly in the SBIR phase 3 space today, but we do have the ability to operate in all 3 phases, which range from feasibility study to proof of concept, and then ultimately to commercializing and scaling that technology for wide adoption across either the government or the commercial space. So the second component that we specialize in is commercial solutions openings. That's a pilot program that we have the authority to issue awards under up to $25 million. So we're looking to certainly expand our footprint in that space. And then the third component that we currently service is government-wide IDIQ contract formation for what I would call novel solutions. So non-category specific, ones that don't, blur the lines with our other portfolios and FAST like IT or professional services and human capital categories. And so moving forward, we want to expand our capabilities by pursuing new authorities, for example, areas like other transactions, to where we can have a menu of services and solutions that are catered to the innovation ecosystem's needs, and where we can make sure we have the right solution and not necessarily force a solution based on, a smaller subset of offerings that we could provide. So yeah, that's what we're working on from a realignment perspective. You heard our key priorities this year, focusing on hiring investments, integrating cultures, and creating the INNOVATE service delivery model. With that foundation, we plan to expand our SBIR and our CSO portfolios in FY25 and beyond to include pursuing civilian agency opportunities to complement our heavy concentration on DoD missions today. And so part of that expansion is going to require us to build and nurture strategic relationships with the SBA, with SBIR program managers, and other key innovation players across government, both DoD and civilian.
Corey, would you explain for us each of the 3 distinct service delivery models, Flex, FEDSIM, and INNOVATE? What's the rationale for establishing these delivery models, and how will each of these models cater to, say, different contract types and focus areas?
Yes, that's a great question. And this is probably one of the more popular topics and questions that we get, since we've done the realignment. And so, with the realignment, it was very important for us to create what we keep saying is a consistent stakeholder experience. At the same time, it was crucial that we recognize that standardization is not a one-size-fits-all solution for AAS. So when you look at our portfolio, when I talked about that $18 billion in obligations last year, that work comes in all shapes and sizes, ranging from customers that need agility and streamlined processes to those which need a heightened level of rigor and infrastructure to execute. And so the 3 service delivery models that we've come up with are our solution to achieving that right balance of brand awareness, of productivity and efficiencies for our employees and our external stakeholders. And so there are 3 main service delivery models: FEDSIM, Flex, and INNOVATE. And so starting with the FEDSIM service delivery model, this model will be utilized for non-commercial acquisitions, and more specifically, cost type acquisitions. So cost plus fixed fee, cost plus award fee, incentive fee, et cetera. So in this regard, you should no longer think of FEDSIM as an organization, but rather a process and philosophy around the types of projects that you've come to associate with what was the FEDSIM organization over time. So from a dollar value perspective, this SDM represents, or service delivery model represents, the predominance of AAS business. And so switching from FEDSIM to the Flex model, the Flex service delivery model will be utilized for both commercial and non-commercial acquisitions with multiple contract types, with the key distinction being the exclusion of those cost type contracts that are associated with the FEDSIM model. So you can think of these as firm fixed price contracts, time and material contracts, or labor hour contracts. And from a contract count perspective, not looking at dollars, but looking more at just contract actions, this service delivery model represents the predominance of our AAS business overall. So most of our footprint from a contract perspective is going to be in this Flex model. lastly, the INNOVATE service delivery model, which is in my business unit, that's how we standardize the way we do business for CIBR, Tech Transfer Research, or CITR, and commercial solutions openings, along with any future authorities that we will pursue.
Could you tell us more about ASTRO and how it's organized? What's the value prop for using it?
Yes, so ASTRO is a really crucial vehicle for our AAS portfolio. It's an extension of the professional services capabilities that were brought to bear with the OASIS contract in the mid-2010s. And so essentially, ASTRO is a broadly scoped series of contract vehicles encompassing all services supporting manned, unmanned, or optionally manned platforms and robotics. And so we have 10 IDIQ pools of contracts that are sponsored by the Department of Defense. So this is exclusively for the DoD, where basically any warranted AAS contracting officer that has received DPA can order off of the vehicle. So unlike the IP3 solution that I mentioned earlier, this solution does not have a direct order capability for client agencies, but it can be used for a total solution for any DoD requirement in the domains that ASTRO supports. So operations, maintenance and readiness, support, development, and R&D. And it includes support for a variety of platforms, whether it's sea, space, land, aviation, or other. It also was the first IDIQ awarded without price as a consideration, utilizing the authority of Section 876. That authority has since been challenged, but we're proud of the fact that we're able to be the first out of the gate to utilize it. And so from a value proposition, it allows our customers to leverage buying of platform-related services. Our taxpayers, our federal agencies, and industry partners benefit in cost savings with us being able to go direct to the source as opposed to using a plethora of subcontracts. Since its creation in FY21, we've made over 15 awards, averaging over $800 million and almost 3 bids per solicitation. So highly successful, highly competitive vehicle, and we look to expand on this utilization, particularly with the flex model as we move forward.
This has been the Business of Government Hour, a conversation with Corey Nickens, Client Executive for the Assisted Acquisition Services Innovation Business Unit within the Federal Acquisition Service at the U.S. General Services Administration, GSA. Be sure to join us next time for another informative, insightful, and in-depth conversation on improving government leadership and its effectiveness. Until then, subscribe, download, and listen to the entire interview at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, or on your favorite podcast app, and as always at businessofgovernment.org.